What's good, YouTube? It's your boy K Spot. I'm on Twitch. First link in the description. We are checking out how strong is Saitama. In my opinion, Saitama is the strongest anime character of all time. Okay, I feel like he's stronger than Goku, and I've started catching up a little bit with Dragon Ball and shit, and that motherfucker Beerus, and then now there's that dude who's always a Beerus. The dude who likes eating a lot. I forgot his name. You know what? Let's just watch the video. Alright? Let's just see how strong is Saitama. I ain't gonna say too much. Let's go. Pay attention.
Hello, I'm Tyler. This is the Imaginary Axis, and one of the most common questions I get from you imaginary friends is who is the strongest superhero?
Okay.
I haven't figured it out yet. But that's only because the genre is so obsessed with strength that over the years we've developed some really overpowered characters. And as they grow stronger, their limits just become harder and harder to define. Take Goku, for instance. A character who, over years of writing, became so strong that Akira Toriyama had to introduce literal gods to the series.
Oh yeah, that dude. Yeah, that's the dude I was talking about.
Who famously set the strength bar so high for Marvel that Stan Lee wrote in Thor and the Asgardian Pantheon as the only logical way of taking things up a notch. When it comes to superheroes, the introduction of overpowered characters is often a sign of literary maturity. The protagonist has overcome so much that his or her feats now have to be titanic. Their enemies have to challenge the audience's imagination. Because we want the stories to continue, but we don't want our heroes to be stagnant. And it would be boring if they just beat every opponent in one punch. Right?
No.
Right, and that's exactly what Saitama from the popular One Punch Man franchise sets out to prove. If you're not familiar with this fairly new anime, manga, and webcomic, I highly recommend it.
But we don't really know his limit though. So it is kind of hard to tell.
That aims to ask the viewer, if a hero is so strong that he can beat anyone, what's even the point of the story? If Superman's message is that overwhelming power results in the loss of humanity, then Saitama's message is that overwhelming power results in the loss of serious conflict. Which is kind of a big deal when it comes to storytelling.
Right.
One Punch Man is the tale of a brand new superhero who's trained his powers to the point that he can end practically any fight in a single half-hearted punch. And his life is boring because of it. Seriously, this guy has nothing to do, and struggles to experience even the most basic of thrills. Most people would if they could survive anything. So naturally, the question on everybody's mind is how strong is Saitama? Can he be beaten? Does he have a limit? And if so, where is it?
Talk to me.
I'm not gonna lie, the answers to these questions might be a little disappointing. Because upon doing the research, they're a lot less numbery than usual. But that doesn't mean I don't have numbers.
Okay.
At the time of this recording, Saitama's strength is by and large undefined in every one of his appearances. That doesn't mean he's killed literally every opponent in one punch, but it's extremely unclear how much effort he's putting into his fights. Look, here he is destroying the Sea King in one punch, a monster no other hero even managed to match. Then, this guy somehow survives one of his attacks. Here's Saitama using his special Serious Punch. But what does serious even mean in this context? Is it synonymous with full power? Unlikely. Or is he just putting a little more effort into his punch than usual? Measuring Saitama's strength is like getting a call from a friend who claims he's bought some soda and wants you to guess how much he has. You ask him to give you a hint, and he says it's more than 4 fluid ounces. Sure, now you have some idea how much soda he bought, but ultimately he could still have anything from 4.1 fluid ounces to the entire freaking soda company. To answer this problem, we'll start from a minimum. The first character we ever see survive one of Saitama's punches and keep going is this guy.
Boros.
Lord Boros. He's an alien conqueror who, like Saitama, couldn't find any worthy opponents in his own galaxy and traveled to Earth in hopes of a thrilling fight. He found one. He definitely found one. And upon realizing Saitama was keeping up with him fairly easily, Boros launched this attack. Collapsing Star, Roaring Cannon.
The animation this
completely
season
cancel
was
out the
insane.
attack of the Serious Punch, so we can use it as a point of reference to determine how strong Saitama might be. And I think it's fair to treat it as a planet-busting attack. Primarily based on Boros' bragging, the official One Punch Man databook, and the fact Saitama didn't use his full strength to repel it anyway. If one of Saitama's serious punches can cancel out a planet-busting beam of energy, then it has to generate at least 2.24 times 10 to the 32nd joules. That's the equivalent of 107 trillion of our most powerful nuclear weapons exploding in your face. Or more energy than the sun gives off in a full hour. That's a lot. But it's not satisfying. Like I said before, there's just no indication that this is Saitama's peak. We want to figure out how strong his strongest punch is. But this is the strongest one he's shown us. Now we've run into a problem. How do you determine the full strength of something that hasn't shown its full strength? Well, you have to go back and analyze its source of power. So according to Saitama, he unlocked his overwhelming strength by doing 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run every day for
That's what he thinks, though.
3 years.
There's gotta be something. There's gotta be something more to it.
Well,
that he doesn't know about.
If you did 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and 10 kilometers of running every day for 3
Probably
years.
injure yourself.
There's actually a very excellent video on that by Jaxblade, a personal fitness trainer here on YouTube who teaches his viewers about various fictional training regimens.
He actually did it?
I highly recommend watching it if you get the chance, but spoiler alert, it doesn't make you strong enough to blow planets away.
Obviously.
There has to be something else going on here. Humans just aren't supposed to be on Saitama's level, no matter how much training they do.
Yeah.
And those are the exact same thoughts the brilliant Dr. Genus had upon meeting Saitama for the first time and learning about his method for achieving ultimate power. The One Punch Man webcomic reveals to us that after that meeting, the good doctor apparently devoted his time to determining what really made Saitama so strong. This is what he came up with.
Oh.
Rather than a type of artificial evolution, I witnessed a more amazing power. My research had lost. That is what I thought. He had removed his limiter. No matter how much effort they put into it, every living being has a certain limitation to their growth. A living being has a set growth limit. Grow too strong, and the burden on the wielder could make them lose control, like a monster that has lost their mind. That is why God has made each and every living being so that it cannot grow further than a certain degree, for their own survival and sanity. This growth restriction is known as a limiter.
Interesting.
However, he had pushed himself to surpass his limitations, and succeeded in removing his limiter.
Well, that explains a lot.
Okay.
What Dr. Genus is talking about is something called the plateau effect. There are indeed limits to everything's growth, and whether you realize it or not, you have encountered them before.
Yep.
You know how it takes effort to get stronger, run faster, or develop new skills? That metaphorical hill you have to climb to improve is the beginning of a force of nature known as the plateau effect. And the higher you get on the hill, the steeper it becomes. Workout routines that used to be effective give you less and less improvement over time, even if you're lifting heavier weights or running longer distances. You can switch up your diet, sleeping schedule, or entire training method to surpass certain levels of steepness, but eventually, everyone reaches a level that's so steep, it might as well be a plateau. There's no way to improve. Or, in Dr. Genus's terms, a limiter. But Saitama has apparently broken his limiter. He no longer has to put any effort into becoming stronger. He just is. He's reached a point where he's already too strong for most opponents.
I like that
In order to
explanation.
full power, there is no full power. He doesn't have a limit. Okay, this is going too far. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, One Punch Man is a deconstruction. Saitama is meant to satirize popular shonen protagonists and superheroes. This limitless strength he possesses is most likely an in-story representation of the up to 11 trope. A recurring theme in the action, anime, and superhero genres that starts out with a character appearing to reach his or her limit, but then suddenly gaining the power to push past said limit through determination, the power of friendship, love, belief in the ability to win, or any number of other things. Saitama's power set satirizes this by preemptively breaking his limiter, so he always randomly has excess power in reserve no matter how strong his opponent is. So does this mean Saitama has limitless strength? Probably. I mean, it's a satire, guys. He is a joke character. Look at this stuff. He's making fun of the genre and the cliches that come with it. And the most basic, literal punchline? Saitama wins without trying. Because he's overpowered. If you approach someone and say, I have this totally serious fighting character who can definitely beat Saitama in a fight, the joke's kind of going over your head. The character actually reminds me of Popeye the Sailor Man to a certain degree. While Saitama's a more direct commentary on shonen protagonists and superheroes, and Popeye's more about visual humor, their basic purposes and main punchlines are actually nearly identical. The entire story is meant to be a joke. And the lead joke is, A, Saitama wins without trying, and B, Popeye wins without trying, after eating spinach. That doesn't mean both stories can't have legitimately dramatic...
Bro, I used to watch so much Popeye.
Center, it's just meant to be silly. There's no real limit to their strength because the story isn't about their limits. It's about using their lack of limits to make you laugh. Now, could this change sometime in the future? Sure. One Punch Man is still evolving, and plenty of series have changed their genres and main purposes.
I can't wait for the next season.
This also doesn't mean Saitama is completely undefeatable. Omnipotence by definition can beat him, and so can pretty much anyone else if he gets wrapped up in a joke as the straight man. Take Squirrel Girl, for instance, a Marvel joke character whose whole gag is defeating overpowered opponents off-screen. Her entire joke is literally designed to make characters like Saitama play the straight man and lose. The real point here is that currently Saitama is as physically strong as he needs to be to make the audience laugh. That being said, if you're still absolutely insistent upon holding him to regular laws, there is still one more technique we can use to try to define his strength.
Okay.
We have to call upon a logical fallacy, known as proof by example. Also known as inappropriate generalization, or more informally, the no limits fallacy, proof by example is when someone claims that one or more examples of something are proof of a more general statement. Take The Legend of Zelda, for instance. My hardcore Zelda fans out there will know that when Ganon has the Triforce of Power, he can only be defeated by the Master Sword or the Silver Arrows. It's been stated multiple times throughout the franchise, and it's true in the mechanics of the games themselves. After all, as we all know,
it is written, only Link can defeat Ganon.
Skip it. So let's say someone poses the following question. What if Ganon had the Triforce of Power and was wreaking havoc in the Marvel 616 universe? Could anyone stop him? The correct answer to this question is yes, but someone using the proof by example fallacy might say, Ganon can only be defeated by the Master Sword or the Silver Arrows. Since the Marvel Universe doesn't have any of those things, no one could stop him. But the Hulk has shown strength feats above anything Ganon has ever done. He'd rip him to shreds. Not fatal, he doesn't have the Master Sword. Doctor Strange has magical powers beyond anything ever shown in The Legend of Zelda. He could just drop a dimension on him or scatter his soul across universes. Wouldn't work, he needs the Master Sword. With the Infinity Gauntlet, Thanos could literally rewrite reality to wipe Ganon out of existence. Not unless he can use the gauntlet to get his hands on the Master Sword first. As you can see, proof by example takes one general rule and extrapolates it out far beyond anything it's ever been successfully applied to. It's a flawed argument, and it eventually becomes absurd.
Yeah.
So if you're not going to acknowledge Saitama as a joke character who has no limits by the author's own intentions in order to poke fun at tropes and cliches, then I suppose the next best thing you could do is extrapolate his power out slightly beyond what we've seen before. Considering how little effort Saitama puts into things, I think double probably sounds good. Can we all agree to that number? Well, ultimately, it's up to your own perception. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, I get the impression Saitama was written to have no physical limits. And he was written this way specifically to make you laugh and smile. Personally, I can't think of a better reason to go along with it. So smile sometime. There are a lot of people working really hard to make sure you do.
Hey, that was a good ass video. Like, that was a really good video. Holy shit. Hey, just like I said, he's got, okay, I wasn't sure, but from based on this video, no one's stronger than Saitama. Yeah, he literally has no limit. You know what I'm saying? Hey, that was a fire video. I fuck with this video. Shout out to this dude, the Imaginary Axis. That was a dope video. Yeah, it's been your boy K Spot. I'm on Twitch. First link in the description. Oh yeah, make sure you subscribe too.